Please join in singing, "You Are Welcome Here." You are welcome here, wherever you're going to, wherever you're coming from. You are welcome here. You are welcome here, wherever you're going to, wherever you're coming from. You are welcome here, 'cause it's a house of love, a house of hope and dreams. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here, 'cause it's a house of love, a house of hope and fear. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here. And now in Spanish. Bienvenido aquí, doquiera que vayas tú, doquiera que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí, bienvenido aquí, doquiera que vayas tú, doquiera que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí a este lugar de amor, de sueños e ilusión, a este lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí, si es un lugar de amor, de sueños e ilusión, a este lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí.
Good morning. Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united by our desire to grow in love and in service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you are welcome here. Whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or are with us this morning for the first time, we are glad you are here. I'm Julia Fogel, the worship associate today. Our service is led by our minister, the Reverend Sharon Wylie. Perfect timing. Our worship musician this morning is Justin Gray, and our song leader is Patty Carlisle. And I think she's going to have a little help this morning too from Tom. Our tech team is Hope Campbell and Sarah Comic, and except that it's Dean back there and not Hope. I just realized that was a change. Okay. And our greeters are Paula Gonzalez and Susan Spoto, so be sure to greet them. Sharon and I have passed a rapid test this morning, so you will see us leading worship without a mask on. Welcome to our Sunday worship service. Welcome to those of you here in the chapel, and welcome to those of you watching online. For those of us here in the chapel, you will notice that we have the windows open. This is to ensure good air circulation. There are also 4 air purifiers. These measures work together with the masks that we wear to protect us from respiratory pathogens. Please feel free to leave the chapel if you are uncomfortable for any reason. You'll be able to hear what is happening inside while you are outside on the courtyard. We are always delighted to see newcomers joining us in worship. As a newcomer, you might be interested in the groups and activities we offer. A good way to get this information is through our email newsletter and e-news calendar. Online newcomers will receive an email invitation to join our email list after the service. In-person newcomers, if you haven't already given us your email address when you signed in, please share it before you leave. Our weekly email is the best way to get information about the many groups and activities we offer here at Chalice. Now, let's take a breath together.
Good morning. According to the Library of Congress, the first permanent Euro-American settlements began a pattern of displacement and land appropriation of indigenous people that continued until the 20th century. In this region that we consider home, the Kumeyaay first lived here for over 10,000 years and were the people who greeted the Spanish when they first sailed into the San Diego harbor in 1542. With this awareness, we acknowledge that Chalice is located on the stolen, tribal, ancestral homeland of the Apai, which is part of the Kumeyaay Nation, and the Payamkawichim Nation. This acknowledgement reminds us that we live in a history-driven present and that we need to be intentional with this land and with the people indigenous to the land. Mary Lyons from the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe states, when we, the indigenous people, talk about land, land is part of who we are. It is a mixture of our blood, our past, our current, and our future. According to the research done with Reclaiming Native Truth, 40% of Americans do not believe that indigenous people still exist in the US. Chalice hopes that with our first step of land acknowledgement, we can move towards educating ourselves and others about indigenous communities and their rich and diverse culture and create a meaningful relationship with them as well.
Now we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. I'd like to invite Richard Quartz to light our chalice this morning. Our chalice lighting words come from D.C. Fortune. We light this chalice as a symbol of our free faith. We light this chalice to remember the miracle of the oil that burned for 8 days. We light this chalice to mark the nights of midwinter. We light this chalice as we wait for the sun to return.
The words of our call to worship this morning come from Scott Cunningham in honor of the winter solstice. These are invocation words from Wiccan ritual. May the powers of the One, the source of all creation, all pervasive, omnipotent, eternal, may the goddess, lady of the moon, and the god, horned hunter of the sun, May the powers of the four directions, rulers of the elemental realms, may the powers of the stars above and the earth below bless this place and this time, and we who are with you. Let us worship together. Inspired by the Christian observance of Advent, we approach the winter holidays by lighting candles in the 4 weeks before Christmas. The tradition of Advent candles reaches back to pre-Christian Northern Europeans, we might call them pagans. During the darkest days of winter, they lit as many as 24 candles on an evergreen covered wheel or wreath. By lighting a candle a day, they marked time, anticipating the return of the sun's light and warmth. Now we light candles to remind us of the gathering darkness and the blessings to be found in the many stories and symbols of this time of year. We light the 4th candle of Advent for love. May it shine for all who give freely of themselves to others, caring and sharing from their hearts. Now you are invited to remain seated while Tom and Patty lead us in a round.
So we are going to sing this through together once, and then we're going to launch into the round. The people sitting on this side will follow me, and the people sitting on that side will follow Tom. Okay? If you have a hymnal in your hand, let's see. So people on this side, you're going to come in when the people on this side get to resounding with the dawn. Okay, let's give this a try, shall we?
May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the night and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night.
May your life be as a song, resounding with
May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the night and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the night and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night.
Lovely.
Our Sunday worship is the shared spiritual practice of our community, and we tend to the congregation during this time by sharing and honoring our joys and sorrows. Here in the chapel, you are welcome to write your joy or sorrow onto a candle card, which will be collected from you. Online, please write your joy or sorrow, including your name, into the chat box. These joys and sorrows will be spoken out loud, and then we will remove this part of the service from the recording that goes on to our YouTube channel. So this sharing won't be publicly available online. We'll have a few minutes of music now so that you can write down what you would like to share. If you would like to send Reverend Sharon a confidential note about your joy or sorrow, or to make a prayer request, please email her. Her email address will be on the screen in a moment.
Let's start with a candle of joy for me that the World Cup game ended before worship started. I know. Everybody out in their cars suddenly came in. So we'll light a final pillar candle for all the joys and sorrows at our gathering that go unshared and unspoken this morning. These two are held in the love and support of our community.
The Solstice Badger, written and illustrated by Robin McFadden. Back in the very beginning, when the world was quite young, it was always summer. The sun walked unhurriedly across the sky in joy each day. But there came a time when his head grew heavy, his light was weaker, and all the first creatures wondered and worried. One evening, as he was descending beneath the earth, the moon was rising. She called to him across the gulfs of the sky. "My brother, you seem sad. What is wrong?" "Oh, sister, I am so lonely. Everything on earth, down to the little field mouse, has a companion. Even you have the stars. But I am alone," he sighed. "Oh, I see," she said. "I will spread the word, dear brother, and we will find you a friend." The moon whispers to the sea each night, and the sea listens. On this night, she told it what the sun had said. The sea told the fishes, and the fishes told the birds. The sun is lonely. Soon all the creatures of the air had heard the news, and they gathered to discuss the matter. "What could be simpler?" cawed the first crow, ruffling her white feathers. "I myself will fly to the sun and keep him company." So it was that day in the morning, as the sun began his journey, he saw a tiny white speck flying towards him. It grew bigger. As it approached, the sun thought joyfully, "Someone's coming to see me." It took Crow a long time to reach him, but she was as strong as she was stubborn, and finally alighted breathless on the sun's strong arm. "I'm here to accompany you, my lord," she gasped, bowing respectfully. But the sun was dismayed, for her feathers were blackening as he watched. "Oh, I thank you for your courage and compassion, little grandmother, but I fear that if you stay with me, you will soon burn up altogether. Please go back home." Crow, her last white feather fizzling away, was hurting too much to speak. She nodded and left. The next day, the hummingbird declared that he would try. "Things that move quickly don't burn," he said, "and the sun must have a companion." So he shot up into the sky like a comet, up, 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 but it was much farther than he had thought. He wasn't quite halfway there when his tiny breast went crimson with effort and he fell, exhausted, back to the earth. After him, the eagle made the attempt, and the osprey, and the albatross, and even the fat little sparrow. All the birds tried and failed. The sun grew more and more dismal. Far down, under the surface of the earth, there is a river that flows from west to east, carrying anyone bold enough to lie in its swift current. It runs from horizon to horizon, and both the sun and the moon rest in its waters whenever they aren't in the sky. Near this east-flowing river, through a cave and to the left, lived the first badger. His tunnels went everywhere, and he loved the bright jewels he found in the darkness. He ate well on root vegetables, mushrooms, and subterranean berries. His home was a giant geode whose walls glittered and sparkled. In his solitude, he was content. One night, he heard someone crying and quickly followed the sound down one of his tunnels to the banks of the river east flowing. There, he found the sun, who had climbed out of the water for a while so he could weep where no one could see him. "What is wrong?" Badger asked gently. The sun, startled, jumped to his feet. "Ah, a new creature," he said. "I have never seen anything like you before, but you should run away before I burn you up." And then he sobbed. But Badger shook his head. "I've collected gems in the white-hot center of the world," he said. "You will not burn me. Come to my house and have tea." And smiling through his tears, the sun did. They spoke of many things together, as kindred spirits do. At length, the sun took his leave, for it was nearly time for morning. That day he rose so clear and bright, all living things on earth knew that he must have found a friend, and they were happy for him. That night he went straight to Badger's house, where his own light was refracted beautifully by all the crystal walls, and they continued their talks and their stories. Badger loved to hear of all the doings of all those he called the surface peoples, whom he'd never seen. So the sun obligedly told him tales of the turtle and the otter, of the horse and a tree and bird and vine, so vividly that Badger could close his eyes and see them. The sun was so engrossed in storytelling, Badger had to remind him when it was past time for him to leave. The next night, it was time for the Badger to speak. He told of the heartbeat of the mother that you can only hear with your bones, and of the fire spirits that dance in the glowing, molten places of the earth. His adventures among mountain roots, in underground geysers, and down echoing pitch-black natural stone wells had to be recounted. He told of the shallow tunnels from which he could listen to the surface, if not see it. And they both forgot the time, and the sun left even later than before. Things went on this way for 6 full moons. The sun would rise a little later every day and walk a little faster across the sky. He was so preoccupied with thinking over things his friend had said or laughing over a joke they had shared that he didn't notice that the world below was changing. The leaves were falling, the winds were bitter, and the very first snow began to fall. The trees took it patiently, because trees always do. But all the creatures were miserable.
Story in just a bit. Now, at winter solstice, we contemplate the turning of the wheel of the year. In traditional pagan lore, the sun god dies at Samhain in late October and is born anew at Yule, the winter solstice. This newborn sun is small and weak like a baby in the winter months, then grows stronger and stronger into spring and summer as the days grow longer, before the autumn of age and decline brings him again to the time of death at Samhain, followed again by his rebirth at Yule. And so the wheel of the year turns. This is a very traditional understanding of the cycle of the seasons. The story we're hearing this morning offers a new mythology to explain the cycle of the seasons. In this story, the lonely sun finds a friend in the badger who lives underground. And as the sun spends more and more time with badger, the days grow shorter and shorter, and winter falls across the land. Paganism is rich with this kind of storytelling. Different pagan traditions honor different goddesses and gods, draw on mythologies from different lands and peoples, and the attitude of practitioners can range from solemnly serious to giggling and playful. The word pagan comes from a Latin word pagus, which refers to a person who lives in the country. It was meant to be a slur to identify Christianity as the new and modern religion of the big city, while pagans and heathens live on the heaths. Pagans and heathens were the simple people who followed the old ways, not fashionable at all. Over time, the word pagan came to mean anyone who was not Christian, and more recently, someone who's not Christian, Jewish, or Muslim. In its negative use, pagan has traditionally meant people who have no faith or no beliefs. It's a mistake to think of pagan as a synonym for atheist, as most pagans believe not just in one God, but many. Pagan practitioners have reclaimed the word pagan over the past few decades especially, embracing it as a positive, not a slur. Now, paganism is an umbrella term for a lot of groups, the same way Christian encompasses everyone from Quakers to Assemblies of God and everyone in between. There's no one right way to be a pagan, just as there's no one right way to be a Unitarian Universalist. 10 different pagan practitioners may observe the winter solstice in many, many different ways. What pagan understandings offer is an understanding that the cycle of birth, life, and death is perfectly natural and not to be feared. The cycle of spring, summer, fall, and winter is perfectly natural and not to be feared. The cycle of growth, abundance, decline, and rest is perfectly natural and not to be feared. We see these cycles in the annual movement of the sun across the sky. We see these cycles each month in the changing moon. It is pagan understanding that darkness does not represent fear of the unknown. Instead, darkness is natural and beautiful, offering rest and restoration. The darkness of the cave of hibernation, the darkness of the womb where new life begins, the darkness of long nights by the fireside, the seasons of planting and harvest behind us. Winter solstice is a time of rest, celebration, and time with friends and family. I observe that part of the stress many experience this time of year is that we're not quite synchronous with the natural cycles that call us to rest and draw close to friends and family. Instead, cultural pressures demand elaborate decorations, gift giving, extensive meal preparation, travel, and arguments between family members about where and how gatherings should happen. These pressures to create a perfect holiday pull us away from this time of rest, camaraderie, and pleasure. We are celebrating, yes, but the pressures of preparing to celebrate can too often diminish the celebration itself. So right now, I'd like to invite you into a short time of guided meditation. This is a time to use our imaginations, and if you're not interested in this right now, if it's not what you need, you can just use this time for reflection. You don't ever have to do anything you don't want to do here in our time together. So make sure you're comfortable, but with your back against your chair or couch, wherever you're sitting. Sit up straight. We want to be alert, not sleepy, and both feet on the floor. And you might choose to close your eyes And let's be mindful of taking a few deep breaths together. Now, imagine that you are like the sun in our story this morning. You have been doing good work, hard work, offering yourself to your family, your job, to the world around you, but something is missing, something out of balance. Something calls to you. So imagine yourself sinking down from your place in the sky to enter that underground world, dark and cool, beautiful, away from the hustle and bustle of the world above. Take a moment to enjoy the sweetness of this cool darkness. And in this underground world, you come to a den, a little opening. The walls are beautiful, sparkling purple, the magic of the geode. And here in this space, you find something you need to help balance you, to restore you. Maybe it's something you have, but you need more of. Maybe it's something that's been missing from your life. Take a moment to notice what you have found. Even if you don't understand it right away, take note there in the darkness. Perhaps what you found is something you can take with you. Perhaps what you found is simply something you can remember. It's time to leave this underground world. So if there's something you feel you have permission to take with you, you can go ahead and pick it up. If what you have found is an image or a message, you can keep it in your mind as you retreat from this beautiful and dark place. Returning above ground and then back to your place in the sky. You still have with you what you, in memory or in material, what you found below. Hold it close to you as you return to the sky. And now, as you return to this world and this place here in our Chalice Chapel, when you're ready, open your eyes and reorient yourself to here and now. And let's take a few breaths together again. Now you are invited to rise in body or spirit to join in singing.
Hymn for us. So Justin will play it through once, and the lyrics will be projected on the wall. when dusk and quiet shall descend, and darkness come once more a friend. When wings pursue their proper flight, and bring not terror but delight, when clouds are innocent again, and hide no storms of deadly rain, and when the sky is swept of wars, and keeps but gentle moon and stars, that peaceful sky, that harmless air, how sweet the darkness there. Please be seated.
Came a day when the sun fairly sprinted through the sky, for he remembered a story he hadn't told Badger yet and couldn't wait to tell it. But when he reached the geode house, his friend was standing in the doorway, looking sad. "Come with me," said Badger, and walked away. The sun hesitated before running to catch up. After all, in all this time, he had never gone into the dark places far from the river. Badger led him through many twisting, branching tunnels until he was quite lost. "Now, my friend, listen," he whispered, and the sun realized that they were in a shallow tunnel. He listened, and he heard the sigh of the wind and the creaking of the branches. He heard the sounds of the shivering and sneezing, but no bird song and no scampering feet. "You've spent too much time with me," Badger said gently. "The world misses you." The sun was filled with remorse over his thoughtlessness. He would have rushed to the sky and stayed there for weeks, but again his prudent friend stopped him. "Hasty repairs make weak burrows," he said. "We must act wisely now, so we must consult the wisest of all things. You know in the world, and I do not. Who should we ask for guidance?" The sun pondered deeply for a moment, his brow furrowed, and then said, "The trees are the oldest things on earth, and Pine is the eldest of the trees. I think she will know what I must do, but she may be angry with me." "I will go to her," Badger said, "and I will take gifts to soothe her anger." Together they returned to Badger's home, where they filled a sack with the most glorious gems he had collected, and enough food for a mighty feast. "Wait here for me," he told the sun, and then, for the first time, torch in paw, he tunneled to the surface. Pine stood in a glade of the forest. She was blanketed with snow, but her dignity and her foliage were unchanged by the changing weather. Her spreading boughs sheltered a great many of the first creatures. She had hatched from her own cone long before the first sunrise, and had seen all things born of nothing, so she was not easily surprised. This it was that when Badger scrabbled to the surface before her, she greeted him calmly. "Hello, small animal who befriends the sun," she said. Her deep voice caused the ground to quiver. "Welcome." He bowed low before her and said, "My friend wishes to undo the harm he unwittingly caused. If he went back to his old ways, would the world be healed?" "If he brought the worm back tomorrow," Pine said, "the world would drown in snowmelt, and all would be chaos." There was a short silence, and the wind howled. Eventually, Badger spoke again. "Wise one, I have brought gifts for you. Will you accept them with our apologies and tell me what advice to give my only friend?" He opened his sack to reveal foods beyond count and jewels without price, and Pine looked at them thoughtfully. "A generous gift," she told him, "and one I have no use for. Give them to the creatures who have all suffered more than I. As for the solution, it is simple. The sun must regain his old habits as gradually as he lost them. All good things in this world happen slowly. Seeds and eggs and seasons alike. Badger bowed deeply in thanks and turned to go. You will miss him. Her voice, as deep as a drum beat, forestalled any lie. Badger nodded and tears filled his eyes. You need not. The voice of the pine became so resonant, it seemed to come from everywhere at once. My roots are on Great Mother's pulse, and she speaks now through me. When 7 cycles of the moon have passed, the days will be as long as ever, but then your visits together may grow again. After 13 moons, the pattern will begin anew, for the sun must have a companion, and the badger must be rewarded for his selflessness. And the mother has decided to welcome the dark times and then call them winter. All things alive held their breath in a moment of awe. Then it passed. Badger joyfully cried, so mote it be, and on this first night of every year I promise to come to the surface and give gifts to all the small beasts, gifts of thanks and blessing and love, and a token of the sun's return. He held his torch up high and sang, here, take it, call them. Pine bent forward and grasped the light. When she straightened, it could be seen held firmly in her topmost twigs. Far and near, the creatures of the forest saw it flickering in the dark and began to draw closer. As they arrived, one by one, they saw that Badger had been busy. Pine was covered in jewels that shimmered and sent rainbows dancing all over the glade. On the ground was spread a banquet, enough for everyone and more. Badger watched the glorious feast begin, well satisfied, then tunneled back home as fast as he could to tell the sun the good news, and the next morning began a little earlier. As it was then when the world was young, it is today. The seasons turn on the linchpin of a friendship. Each day the sun watches the world and everything in it, for he is collecting stories to tell Badger. Their visits together grow longer every night for half a year, and at the darkest times we still honor the wise old pine by hanging jewels and lights in her branches, and on the longest nights of all, Badger still comes to the surface bearing gifts. He gives them to all the small creatures who bear patiently the cold and the darkness, knowing that even the winter will forever be a joyful as long as the Solstice Badger keeps his promise. And he always will. The end. When the sun
Among the many different kinds of pagan practitioners are Unitarian Universalist pagans. There are surely many reasons that some pagans come to find Unitarian Universalism and to feel comfortable here. But I would suggest that UU pagans have not just a comfort with, but even a yearning for spiritual life that welcomes people of many different beliefs. I'm a Unitarian Universalist because our faith is welcoming to pagans, which is where my personal spiritual practice has found inspiration for many years. But I am here, and we are here, not just because we are welcoming to pagans, but because we are also welcoming to Jewish UUs and Christian UUs and atheist UUs and Muslim UUs and many, many more. A yearning for and appreciation of pluralism is at the core of who we are as Unitarian Universalists. At the national level, UUs are considering making changes to our statement of values. And included in the current draft of revisions is a values statement that includes pluralism as one of our 7 shared values. That wording about pluralism reads, "We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, theology, and experience. We covenant to learn from one another and openly explore the depth and breadth of our many wisdoms. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect." I love the inclusion of pluralism as a value and the statements that go with it in this draft, because our current statement of 7 principles and 6 sources doesn't include any explicit statement about pluralism. It's certainly implicit. The naming of 6 sources of our faith tradition points toward pluralism. But we've never written anything before now that calls pluralism a value, even though Unitarian Universalism today is absolutely has pluralism at our heart. So again, those words, "We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, theology, and experience. We covenant to learn from one another and openly explore the depth and breadth of our many wisdoms. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect." December is the perfect time of year to lift up our pluralism. This month we say Happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah starts at sunset today. Happy Solstice. Solstice is Wednesday. Merry Christmas, just a week away. And Happy Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa starts the day after Christmas. All are welcome at Wednesday's Spiral Walk event here at Chalice. You don't need to be pagan to attend and participate. All are welcome on Christmas Eve. You don't need to be Christian to attend. All are welcome next Sunday morning, which happens to be Christmas morning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. So mote it be.
The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. As Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron writes, generosity is an activity that loosens us up. By offering whatever we can, $1, a flower, a word of encouragement, we are training to let go. Please text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't done this before, know that once you text the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to follow to enter your credit card information. If you have already entered this information previously when you've donated, you won't need to enter it again. If your Sunday donation is meant to be part of your pledge payment, please be sure to indicate pledge after the dollar amount. The phone number for text donations will be on the screen in a moment, and there is a basket on the table by the door if you would like to make an in-person donation as you exit today. Please give generously. Please join in dedicating our offering with words of affirmation. At Chalice UU congregation, our mission is to inspire individual and communal spiritual growth.
Good morning. You guys are going to help me with a song. Okay. We just did this at the party, but it's a perfect song for this service, and not all of you were there. So this is called "Where Is the Light" by Peter Mayer, and you're going to sing the chorus with me. So I'm going to sing it once, and then sing it along with me, please. Go. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Now please join. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Very good. Now we're going to do that. We're going to do the chorus 2 times every time we do it. So we'll just do that 2 times. And then every time I sing a line of the verse, you respond with "Where is the light?" So it sounds like, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You go, "Where is the light?" Got it? It's that hard, right? Well, it's late December, dark and cold. Where is the light? And old man time is bending low. And the sun runs off to bed too soon. Where is the light? And there's nothing but a skinny moon. Where is the light? Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Well, it's dark each morning when I rise. Where is the light? And it's darkness when my eggs are frying. Where is the light? And it's dark when off to work I go. Where is the light? And it's dark again when I get home. Where is the light? Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Well, it's in my skin and in my bones. It's in my heart. It's in my soul. That light of mine, so bright and golden, it's like a summer day. And when the sun goes hiding in the sky, it is rising in my eye. It's chasing all that winter gloom away. Well, it's burning bright like kerosene. Where is the light? And I'm twinkling like a Pleiades. Where is the light? And I'm dancing like a candle flame. Where is the light? And I'm flaming like a fruit flambe. Where is the light? Can you tell me? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. 2, 3, 4, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you.
Before we close the service, I'd like to remind newcomers online to please use the link in the chat box to add your name to our email list. Our closing words come from Samuel A. Trumbore. Go forth in simplicity. Find and walk the path that leads to compassion and wisdom, that leads to happiness, peace, and ease. Welcome the stranger and open your heart to a world in need of healing. Be courageous before the forces of hate. Hold and embody a vision of the common good that serves the needs of all people. Love and blessings to each of you. Blessed be. You are invited to close our time together by singing the well. After our closing hymn, please return to your seats for an announcement.
We drink from the well together, cool, cool water that quenches my thirst, thirst for justice, thirst for joy, thirst for a love that all know of. We drink from the well, we drink from the well together. Hand in hand we are standing as one, standing for justice, standing for joy, stand for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well. Open the doors to the world outside. Spirits renewed from within. Look for the dream in each other's eyes, the spark where a new world begins. Yes, we drink from the well together. Heart to heart we are dancing as one, dancing for justice, dancing for joy, dance for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well, we drink from the well, we drink from the well. I feel my heart swell. We drink from the well.
Please be seated. We have a bit of an announcement.
Short announcement.
Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. Just an announcement about our solstice celebrations. Now, there are, of course, two. There's still the beach event as people go out to the beach and watch the sunset together. But we have a festival here, small one, where we have the Advent Spiral. It's a lighting ceremony. It opens officially at 3:30 so that people who don't want to drive in the dark can come and walk the Advent Spiral, light a candle, and join community. It officially starts with a little bit of music. Jeff Hayes, I believe, is going to accompany with some other musicians. And we'll go from about 4:30 or 4:45, depending on how people organize that, because the sundown's at 4:45. You can come, walk the spiral, light a candle, and that's a kind of a quiet spiritual celebration. It's presented by the Green Team, so we kind of attach ourselves to the natural rhythms of life with this celebration. And then afterwards, at 6 o'clock, we'll close the spiral. I mean, you can still walk it if you want to, but people can come. There'll be outdoor dining, so a potluck if you'd like to bring anything. We'll start the meal, the shared meal, at 6 o'clock, and we can go till about 8 if that happens. It will be cold. The dining is primarily outside, so bundle up. The food will be inside in the Rainbow Room, and I hope to see anybody who wants to join. Thank you.
So for those of you watching online, please remember that social hour will be in a few minutes here at this same Zoom link. In-person congregants are invited to enjoy social hour on our courtyard, where masks are optional. As usual, remember that children younger than 5 may not yet be fully vaccinated, so take care around them. And as you enjoy your refreshments, consider popping into the Blue Room to greet our online congregants. Good fellowship and good eating await. Please enjoy.